Hey guys, it's Marissa here. I'm here with Natalie, Donald, and Rachel. We're coming together today to talk about the energy of Gate 9 as we are moving through it. Today we are in the line 3, which is the straw that broke the camel's back. It's great for Black Friday, right? Um, so I just wanted to introduce who we are, and we're just a group. We all came from Leanne Wolf's mentorship community, and we just kind of like to build and grow together with this knowledge, and hope to share some information with you guys. So 2 of us here have the Gate 9 and 2 do not. So, and Natalie, do you have the whole channel?
No. Very obviously don't have the whole channel.
Okay, me either. Actually, Chiron is my 52 is my Chiron actually.
Oh, right.
So it's interesting. But
Yeah.
all right. So Donald, do you want to start and read off this from the white? What is this? The white I Ching or the blue I Ching?
This is just the Rave I Ching.
The Rave I Ching. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like original Ra Uruhu material here.
Yeah. Do you want to start off with some information?
Sure. So the Gate 9 is the gate of focus. When connected to the 52, you have a design of determination. Gate 52 being the mountain or keeping still. So you can't have focus without, you can't be focused unless you're staying still. And it's also a formatting energy. The Gate 9 appears in the sacral center. So it's about our own life force energy. And it's part of a logical circuit of understanding. So I can just read here. This gate has a direct relationship with the Gate 62 in the throat center. The 62 is preponderance of the small, and Gate 9 is the taming of the power of the small. So it's kind of funny that we're talking about, what comes before the small details and taming the small details in these two gates. These are 2 detail gates, and both are in the understanding circuit. Both are mechanical functions. The power of the 9 is determination. So I guess there's a format of determination in the Gate 9. The power to maintain the focus. When the 50-second gate is defined to this power, the relentlessness is transformed into a channeled energy, and the depression disappears. It is the power to focus that underlines the importance of this gate. The entire logic system demands continued experimentation and testing, repetition and practice. It is this power to focus which empowers the entire process. So, and this is the format for all logical gate circuitry, collective circuitry within the body graph. So it sets the tone. So even if you're reading this in someone's design, they have the gate of focus. Focus becomes part of all of their
Everything.
design. Yeah, focusing
everything.
on
It's like a
whatever
tunnel.
it is.
It's like a tunnel vision of everything. Yeah.
Focusing
Like
on feelings, focusing on
like my 59 when I was, my first 30-year phase was focused on bonding and
and intimacy.
So it's it is a very, very focused. It does make the entire thing a logical focused trajectory. Yeah, absolutely.
My 9 is, I've got 9.3 in unconscious Neptune and 9 line 4 in unconscious Jupiter. And yeah, I would say I'm kind of like, I clock everything. Like any interaction I'm having with someone, or like any work that we're doing, and when I say any, I mean like any. I'm like whatever we're doing, I've got every new detail is kind of covered. It's really interesting, actually. It's and annoying. Oh no, it's not annoying. It's fabulous, and I love it. But it is like it is that, like, is this really what you're supposed to be focusing on? Like, should I shift my attention onto like what would really stack up, what will really add up and matter if I accumulate the attention to one thing specifically, and I try and give myself buckets of things that I'm like, okay, well, here's a music bucket and an art bucket and a writing bucket and like things like that, where like I try and accumulate that practice or that focus into each one of those buckets, manifesting generator. So I'm always like spinning the buckets and be like, so long as I keep pouring into each bucket all the time, I'm like, it'll add up. This will add up.
Yeah, that's awesome. That works for you, but for me as a projector, it's not. It's like the small, focused step by step by step. But in the Gene Keys, they talk about the shadow being inertia. And when you break out of that shadow, even though it's really, really hard, when you break out of that shadow of inertia, it's actually I had some notes written down. So let's see what I put. Yeah, because it's reluctant is the either reluctant or distracted is the reactive nature. So reluctant or distracted. So the reluctant nature is kind of like, it's like a freeze response almost. And it literally is like this inertia that you can't get through. But once you do get through, it's just like flow to you. It just comes naturally. And they talk about just taking that one small step of heart-focused action, and it will lead you in the right way. If you're feeling inertia or depression, or like you can't move forward, maybe just do something for the community, some kind of heart-focused action, one tiny thing, and keep doing it, and then it'll come, and then you'll have the force of the universe behind you, according to the Gene Keys, when you get into the gift frequency of determination.
Absolutely. I love that. That's such, yeah, that's, I do find that in experience like a really effective way of moving things along, is like do something for someone else, or like, yeah, do something that's for the greater good.
Yeah.
And it tends to help. But I guess like, yeah, I got that sacral, so the sacral's also looking for what I'm responding to as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so the inertia is like a movement. So something can be inert as well, like it's not moving until it gets the detail. Is that what you're saying about it? I don't have the energy, so I'm just exploring it with you guys.
It's the taming power of the small, right? So it's taming the details, not getting distracted, or what was the diverted or reluctant, which was like the fight, flight, freeze kind of almost response, which I think I've experienced before. Like, you know, being afraid, really, it's about fear, the reluctancy, you know.
It almost like there's something that I might have missed, like I need to go over this again, or I need to yeah, like there's got to be more in here to look at in a small way, rather than realizing, okay, we need to get out and like start to make some movements or take some action in a logical process.
Yeah.
And even though I do have like all of this like flitting kind of energy, that is one thing that with human design has been so fruitful and positive in learning, like, and also noticing that I do put things into steps, and that I will create steps, like I made a conscious creative flow course. Someone kind of pulled it out of me, said you should do a course, and I was like, it's okay, I'll write a course. And it was like it's somewhat simple in a way for me to say, what would I want to teach, and go from 9 steps or 12 steps and go da 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 da, and actually just define them and put a scope on it. And like, because I've talked about this with Marissa, we can go off in like tangents and threads and add more and get those details and grab them in, and then, but it's like, okay, let's put a scope on it, let's put a target on it, and I'll make it a step, and then now we have 9 steps, we just have to do these 9 inertia all the time. Like I constantly have to relook at it.
I mean, I love to look up all the words all the time, and I have my own. I think I know that it means like not moving. It's like this, like it's like when something comes to a state of inertia, it's a state of breaking, right?
But it's flowing backwards. It's instead of flowing against the current, it's flowing. Instead of flowing with the current, it's flowing against it. You're having pushback.
Okay, yeah. This says a tendency to do nothing or to remain unchanged, a property of matter by which it continues in its existing state of rest or uniform motion in a straight line unless that state is changed by an external force.
Yeah, this is all about changing the pattern.
All right. So, sorry. So this second definition that is given for the physics definition, they talk about in the law of one, which is the transmission, the law of one by the channel material from the being raw or whatever, you know, which I talk about all the time. They talk about what is, and they say basically karma is a state of inertia, which is that like you're going on this fucking trajectory with unless a breaking force comes in, and that breaking force they say is love and forgiveness. So funny, Natalie, that earlier you mentioned love and forgiveness, which is totally like one of my like chants that I'm used to be like, oh, love and forgiveness, blah blah. But yeah. So love and forgiveness is the thing that is the breaking force of the inertia of karma. It's like the thing that can stop the karmic force of a like so if I understand this definition correctly, the second one, like I have to reread it again, but like my first like real quick like whatever like yeah, that's like what it is. It's like we do one thing after the next and it just like builds up. It's like this snowball effect unless something interrupts it. And it's also like this stasis at the same time of this like building, because it's like, you know, when you're just like sitting in your habitual patterns of not doing like the thing that you want, not climbing the mountain before you, but just like worrying about it and just like fretting. It's like fretting, you know, and it's like it's very powerful, like
procrastination.
Yeah. And it's like when you actually do
my design son.
When you actually do the thing or write the email or register the thing, it's like, oh, that was so painless. And it was like I fucking thought it was going to be so bad and it was like nothing.
But procrastination has ruled my life with it as my design son, like not knowing this information. And now I get it. That's what the inertia was like to me, procrastination, like for anything.
And when you just
it's just not ready yet. I feel like that procrastination it's just not ready yet. like I'm like it's not a problem. It's just not ready yet.
And Ra also said like the people with the ninth gate are like the great physicists or metaphysicians, because it is the taming power of the small, right? And like I had even sent that video about like the neutrinos and all of that before, and it's just, and then what Donald sent back about the viruses, and it is like that is the taming power of the small. We're in that energy today, and it's just so funny how it always, what energy we're in really shows up when you look at it.
And if you just look at like inert, it's the lacking the ability or strength to move. So there's inertia, which is the actual movement, or just the the non-movement of the inert. So this is, I guess, before the detail.
Well, okay, so
or
then
preponderance of the small. This might be a gate 62 word.
Could we look up determination next as the next one, which is the gift? Right? That's what. So determination is a really interesting word too, and it's like I think of like right turn, like deter. It's like a right. The word root of turning right. It's like making the next right move. Is like I'm determined to do just like the next right that, and it's like it's not just any old good move next. It's the next correct move that will lead me on the correct path. It's like taking the right. If you're like lost and you need to follow the GPS, you really only look at the next right move. Like if you're really lost, if you're super lost in a place that you don't know where the fuck you're at, you don't like look ahead to see what's my total travel time and is there any, you really are just totally focused on, you know, wah, wah, how far till the next like a foreign fucking turn, you know? So, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I like in Gene Keys, the city is invincibility. I love tuning into the word invincibility
Mhm.
because it's just like nothing can stop it. It's very-
Absolutely. And it has to do with in the Gene Keys, I think, at least with the line 6, I think it's an overall theme about intent, like intent and gratitude. And it's overall, that's also with the 16 as well, which they're, what's the word I'm looking for? Not binaries. Oh, not polarities.
So it's like in inertia, like the thing can't move on its own. It's like totally stopped. And in determination and invincibility, it's like it can't be stopped. It's like completely focused on moving in a certain direction and it cannot be swayed from the course. So it's very interesting. I really have just gotten into the Gene Keys like in the last couple weeks. I did that 7 days of grace thing. I mean, I was always kind of like, oh, what's this about the Gene Keys? But to be honest with you, was like not that into it. I was just like, I was more an HD than
Same for a long time. It's
but
only
but something about the energy, the softness, and the sweetness of the Richard Rudd like interpretation is to me like more appealing these days. Yeah.
I've come to like mix them so much, like that the words for the Gene Keys, like I completely adopted them as like an organic part of the same story. Like to the point where I was saying things were human design when it was actually Gene Keys, and I had just melded them in someone.
And that's like the 16, which is the programming partner. That's the word. Programming partner of the 9th is the enthusiasm, right? And it's about, I just totally lost it. I just lost my train of thought.
Yeah. It's about the gate 16 is all about identification and kind of like a practice makes perfect. Yeah, it's the gate of skills. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're in the earth right now with that. The earth, our grounding and balance would be like refining or practicing our skills.
And then you mentioned, Marissa, about there being a bit of fear that or the hesitation in the gate 9. And it's kind of funny because this is kind of part of the logic or understanding circuit, which moves up on the splenic side. And the spleen's all about survival instincts and fear and all of that. So,
yeah. I mean, in the shadow frequency, there is definitely like a fearish feeling there. But doing the next right thing, that definitely gets things into motion, into determination, to invincibility.
Rachel was going to say something about the fear. Are you there, Rachel?
I wasn't, but I was curious to know about it. I am curious. Like, so what's the fear associated with the gates?
So it's the repressive nature is reluctant, and the reactive nature is diverted. So diverted, onto all different little details and topics and things. But reluctant is like, I don't know if I should use the word fear, but it's like it's an inertia. It's when you have the gate, you know it in your system. So it's like, I know that's what that means, but it's like, to try to explain it, it is like some kind of fear of
avoidant. It's like avoidant attachers or whatever. Like those people, they're always like, oh, it's an avoidant.
Yeah, actually, because the shadow is called indifference, and the opposite of love is not hate but indifference, right? So indifference, it's like not caring. And then when you're getting into determination, I guess where I'm getting that from is when I was coming out of like a complete freeze state. Getting into determination was, I'm starting to feel like the fear with the inertia, if that makes sense. But I needed to break through the fear to become determined, to keep doing these step by step and just break through. That's what they talk about in Gene Keys. Like the first few steps is like the hardest part, and it's a huge, they talk about willpower in it. It's not in the will center, but I do get the feeling of the willpower from it, of the willpower having to break through.
Yeah, so when I listened to the Gene Key on this, it was so nice. It was he said, your mind sees the mountain, but don't look at the mountain. Look down and take a step. Take the first step. And it was like totally like it was so great, because it's like I think like, yeah, so it's like I don't have this either one of these gates, but like I get lost in all the details of something to the point where I'll never do anything because I can't decide upon the title of like or what I want to do first. Or it's like there's so much little bullshit, and it's like actually like when I realize how much of my life is wasted thinking about things in that like stupid level of detail and avoiding like any kind of actualization, it made me like sick to my stomach. I was like horrified. I was so upset. but then I was like, oh. But then it's like one of those things where you're like super grateful finally to be like wake the fuck up and be like, all right, so I'm gonna stop like sabotaging myself. But I'll just get out a pencil and paper and write a list so I can or do something, you know what I mean? So with this level of Virgo, it's like I always think of it as I say Virgo gone wild.
Yeah, I'm Virgo rising. I get it. The meticulous detail.
Yeah, as well. I'm Virgo moon and rising. So yeah.
Oh wow.
I'm Mercury and Venus. Virgo.
Nice.
So, yeah, we're all crazy serial killers.
But yeah, so this is really about it's the energy for detailed work. So like the 62 is about the details. This is the energy for detailed work.
Which is very Virgo, which is funny that this is like a Sag thing, which is not known for detail. Actually, not a detailed thing. But anyway, yeah. Not saying that Sag isn't brilliant. It totally is. But it's not about like, Sag is big picture. Sag is like, the whole thing.
Yeah, and this is also like we also just moved into the last quarter, the quarter of mutation, purpose fulfilled through spirit. And like if you look at all of those, the hexagrams, the spirit quarter they're all the foundations, they're all the elements, right? So that's just interesting to ponder on. And we're in the code, it's the codon ring of light for the 9, 5, 11, and the 26. And the amino acid is theranine. Just some more details about the details.
Yeah, so did you want me to read the definition of determination?
Yeah.
Sure. So it says firmness of purpose or resoluteness. The process of establishing something exactly by calculation or research. The controlling or deciding of something's nature or outcome. So there, like in the third one, you see where the formatting comes in here. Because you're determining something. Yeah.
And that's why he said it's like they are the great metaphysicians and stuff, because they're, the ones who are trying to find the smallest particles and things like that. And that's why I guess I find it so interesting with it as my design sun. And this work and like the energy for detailed work, like
because you really love like the sleep stuff, but the amino acids and like going, and that's very detailed.
Yeah, like I
go right down into those like very specifics.
I like if a person has like a specific thing going on in their life, You know, like for example, I was just with my family for Thanksgiving, Joey's family actually, and his, you know, my sister-in-law, and you know, pulled up her chart and her kids and her, you know, baby daddy, and just was pinpointing every detail that's going on through their relationship with, and like how each other is, you know, they're affecting each other's energy, and where the gaps are in their penta dynamics to, you know, to hold that foundation, and things like that. So I really like when people have like a specific thing that they're going through, or a specific question, at least to start. And because I can pinpoint it, because I like, you know, like some people just look at the body graph and synthesize the body graph, but I like to take all of the parts, and it's a long contemplative process, and, you know, think about, okay, what's the gate, what's the line, what's the tone, what's the color, what's the plant, you know, is it part of a channel that's open? Like, I like to really look at each part so in depth. And so that's why it's helpful if somebody has a specific point that they want to look at, so that I can focus that point
I'm glad
instead
you
of
How
brought
long
getting
do you
that
lost in the
think?
details.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna ask you, like, when you do a kind of a reading and consultation, Marissa, like how long do you like to spend with people to get to that detail?
So that's the thing. I think I can go a lot longer than the people who are new can, because to me, because we have this information in our cellular structure, basically, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And they do too, but it just hasn't come out
You have to wake it up.
yet. So yeah, so it's interesting. Like, some with my sister-in-law, I've talked to her a few times about human design, and the first few times she was into it, but not like super into it. And then a few times ago, she was just like, the whole time, we're for hours, she was just taking it all in. And I could really go for a long time, but I don't want to overwhelm the people. Is really the assimilation is my mutation. So I'm trying to figure out how to assimilate things better without overwhelming people.
Mm.
Yeah, I like that you were talking about, you know, you can go into the in-depth details of someone's chart. So I was trying to do, or like many times I try to do a reading, like just a basic reading, but then I get too into I get stuck on all the details of the person's chart, and I'm trying to like figure out a simple way of doing it. And Ra has like how to read a chart like easily, and he talks about how all the line ones in the chart are genetically linked, and all the line twos are linked, and all the line threes are linked, and to read the chart like that, but I'm just not there yet.
The genetic continuity, yeah. I also like to look at it and I'm new at it. I'm still studying it, the quarter by quarter, like around the wheel. And it's like the different godheads and the different amino acid groups and chemical families and the chemical relationships between the gates. And like some that you would never think, like the 37, the 22, the 36, and the 61. They're all very strongly chemically tied together. They're through genetic continuity, but there's so many different kinds of genetic continuity. Like when you're looking at the wheel, every 8 gates is a G center gate. And it's really interesting to me lately how we go around the wheel, and yeah, that every eighth spot is a G center gate, and like seeing the genetic continuity in that way too, like every gate, like the gate after a G center gate, and then each eighth after that, and their relationship. And you could see it in the hexagrams through the different bigrams or base couplets, and also like the hexagram split into either base pairs or 2 pairs of 3. So it's really, really interesting
Yep. Yeah, it's a
So we're
lot of
moving.
details.
Yeah, sorry. I
Yeah.
know. I know.
No, it's okay. I'm always
I want
I'm
to
always
see
looking
it.
for
I
the
want to see it
practical, right?
as you're saying that. I'm like just picturing it so that I can see it.
So I was hold on.
Yeah, so
Yep.
like by the tops on here on like the bottom. Oh, you can't see my mouse pointer. I'm thinking you can. But Rachel, what were you saying?
Oh, she had to just go deal with the children were in the
Oh,
background.
okay.
I heard them.
Okay. What do you guys?
Blessed angels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, she thought they were asleep. What do you guys think about, we're moving out of the 37-49-16 configuration for 2027 into the 55-59-34-20, right? So what do you think that's going to be like moving? So the 9 is going to be replaced with the 34.
Yeah. I'm actually I'm gathering I was gathering the details on that a couple days ago because I wanted to make like a video presentation.
Nice.
Kind of like for people who aren't really into human design or new to human design and they still want to understand what the shift is. Everybody's talking about it, but they're like, oh, gate
Right.
this and the deeper meaning of that. And they're giving them all the details. I'm like, these poor people who are just kind of like when I started in human design, like I have no astrology background. I had no I Ching background, no background at all. So I was just like overwhelmed by all the details. And I'm like, this is what it must feel like for anyone who's not really in the spiritual scene to get hit with this sort of system. And yeah, like, and there's so many details, but I'm on unconscious line 5. I'm always trying to figure out, so what's the most helpful things you can tell a person to start them on their path, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because you can tell them all the details, but you don't want them like getting stuck or focusing on the one detail and then they're in a
Right.
downward spiral because they're only focused on the one thing, like I have to be this way or
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that's like a whole huge thing. It does not work in a vacuum. We
Yeah.
always have to look at it in relationship to the chart. But if they do have the 9th gate or the 952, that's going to be a strong thing. Like you can think of that as like the first layer when you're looking at the gates, that everything is going to be in a logical framework, even if they have a lot of individual or, tribal energy or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if you have any of the formatting gates, it's going to impact the rest of the design right away. So
Yeah.
yeah, I like
So
if you have this channel, the 52-9. They say like like let's say you're a teacher, you can create that focus within the classroom. Like you're kind of like oracally creating it. It's pretty interesting.
yeah, that's awesome.
The power to tame a class, which
Yeah, right.
I'm trying to think of like which story to pull in. So like all this stuff's going through my head. But like the most recent kind of, because I'll do readings for people formally one-on-one that I may not know super well, but it just happens to be the nature of things that I often will do the charts and talk about the people who I'm working with or studying with, or just the people in my life. And so recently I met a new group of people because I started doing work in this kind of gift homewares art studio candle shop. That's a whole nother story. But so it turns out that this group of people that I'm working with are all incredibly open to this information, and it feels really interesting to have followed my sacral response to be there, because it's not like I'm fully aware that it's not necessarily about, well, I'm transpersonal, like lacks refinement. So wherever I go, I'm like, what transpersonal events are going to occur? Like it could just be the relationships I have with the people that I work with and the information we give one another. Like that could be the whole purpose or the reason. But what's the point? What's the point of my story? they've all been very receptive to the information, but it has been things that organically come up in our interactions, and these sort of key things that I'll just say to them even without having their chart. So firstly, it's interactions which would be maybe I notice something about their behavior, or I notice something and I'm like, in human design we could look at it, and it starts to like intrigue the well, let's take a look at it, and then when we have a moment we can go deeper. And I don't even know why I'm telling the story. It's just what has been going through my head.
That's what always happens for me too. It's like
just discussing.
Yeah, whatever we're talking about, and then it's like, oh, and then like I'll remember their chart, or I'll have to look at their chart. I'm like, I bet you have that gate in human design, and I'll go and they'll have it, and then they'll be like, what? That describes me to a T. Like, then they want to know more.
And it's always kind of like looking for those things that are, I suppose, convincing and persuasive in some ways, so that they are like, oh, there's something in this because I really connect with this particular piece. And then you can start to unpack the unconscious and the hidden aspects, or those open things that people are a little bit more like, they know it's there. It's really like you just have to move a few things around and you see it. But yeah, sorry. I'll go back to my painting.
Focus. Donald, what does it feel like, and Rachel, for you too, when she comes back, I guess, for you going through this energy right now?
Oh, well, if I was to speak to it, I've been able to focus on a lot of things this week.
Awesome.
So it's kind of nice, but also you can get caught up in other people's focus and they can take you away from your focus too. So there's a little bit of you got to be a little bit selfish with your own focuses too, especially when you're trying to get stuff done.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's how it feels. And I think when we were talking about the Misery Loves Company in the group chat, it was like, yeah, it kind of like defines everything. Like, on Thanksgiving, we're gonna have this Misery Loves Company going on.
Yeah, we did kind of have a breakthrough at my Thanksgiving. I'm not going to talk about this if we're going to post this, actually. Private stuff, but yeah, all in alignment with how the energy is flowing and getting there.
Yeah, but the breakthrough is like, you identified something and you're able to address that detail, right? So that's great. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's what this gate's really, really for, right? So it's kind of funny that it lands on a Thanksgiving. And then I haven't looked up the Canadian Thanksgiving, like what gates are going on during that, but
When is that?
yeah. It's like back in October. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a whole month before you guys.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We don't have Thanksgiving, but we have something. I think our thing is called like Australia Day, and it's highly controversial day. There's a lot about like moving the date because it's like the date is the day that, I don't know, some savage captain came and declared the land England's and took it off. Just the oldest living community that was taking care of the land for fucking billions of years. Like,
Columbus Day.
And our country's only like technically since that time, it's only like 200 years old or something. We're like, we're just a bunch of convicts.
This is just like American Thanksgiving. That's exactly as American Thanksgiving.
But because ours is kind of young, I think there's a bit less attachment. Like, people argue about it, but we don't really have like formal sit downs and things. It's more like, I mean, Australians are just loose, laconic idiots anyway. So we just, get drunk and have a barbecue and dive in the ocean.
I need to move to Australia.
A shark or something. That's what we do on that day.
Will you adopt me?
Oh, it is fun.
Do you want to read the lines?
Yeah, we can go through the lines, of course. So we'll start at the foundation of this gate of focus, which is sensibility, a balanced and responsible approach to problem solving. So I'm not sure that maybe someone can help me out with the planets and governing these energies, but the first one is the ability to avoid frustration through the creation of new forms, the
Looks like
power of focusing to create new forms. Or,
looks like
oh,
weird.
sorry.
Sorry, yeah, that's a Pluto glyph.
Oh,
It's a
Pluto. Okay, so this has to do with truth and transformation then.
mm-hmm.
So creating new forms out of truth and transformation, right? I don't know if you want to speak to Pluto anymore on that, but that's all I know from the system.
Mm-hmm. Well, so as far as the exaltations and the detriments go,
Mhm.
in astrology, the exaltation and detriment mean something that Ra was like, it's not the same in human design, and in astrology, it means like how planets function in different signs, whether they are like exalted means that like they're treated really well, and and detriment or exile would be like treated like shit. So it's like Mars in this, so, and the gates are very similar to signs. They're like locations in space. So it's like Pluto does really well here, basically. If we were going to translate astrologically, which Ross says it doesn't, it's not the same, but it would be like that this essence of this planet is something that resonates on a very like harmonic way, almost, would you would say, with this energy, versus like a detriment would be something that is like has more of a dissonant effect or a harder time being expressed, or this is how like it goes kind of awry when this energy of mutation is within this like detailed logical format energy, for example. And Ra also, it's like Ra as a transmitter might have said some shit, but these planets also mean, and these words like exaltation and detriment also, he's like, I don't know, the voice just told me to say it. Well, maybe it was for not you, but for other people that did know what the fuck those words meant better down the road as a scribe, translator, to just relay the message, Ra. But anyway, so yeah, that's like
Good point.
Yeah.
not
And
taking anything away from old Saint Patriarch Ra.
mhm. Yeah, and then we have I believe that's Mars, right? For the line
Yeah.
one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so after a hasty and frustrating search for the urge to kick in the door when the key is in your pocket, so this is the power to generate that will lose its focus. So,
I actually love this fucking line so much. I
mhm,
actually have had experience a lot because I'm about to go experience it right now. Because I have a lock on my bedroom door from the inside that is with the key.
mhm,
And sometimes I get locked in the room and I can't find my way out. And I'm like looking for the key in the dark, and I get it's a that feeling
mhm.
is very the I know what it's like to be a generator and feel frustration because that is like that's what it's like. But then it's like then you realize it's in your pocket. It's like wow, that is an amazing
Totally.
like analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you wear glasses, like you probably have gone through this before where your glasses are on your face, but you're looking for them.
Yeah, I as a mental projector too, like and also as a space cadet flake, I'm constantly losing everything. And like it will be I'll be like, where are my fucking whatever? And then I immediately find them. Like as soon as I say
Right
it,
away. I do that too all the time.
Mhm.
Usually found it like right as I'm saying it. My
yeah,
daughter looks at me like, why are you asking when you have it?
yeah.
I'm like, well, I didn't
At
realize.
this point I'm like totally hopeless and I'm like, I can't find my keys. Like, and then they'll
My
be
focus
there.
painting. I'm sorry. Look at our beautiful girl focusing over there.
Yeah.
What are you
And then,
making pictures?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm like listening, but I managed to tune out. You should see this. It's so funny. I have like puppy pads on the table, like pee pads for if you've got a puppy and they're just gonna pee everywhere. and lucky because I knocked over the I don't know, this, whatever this is, mineral spirits. I'm essentially asphyxiating on some mineral spirit in an enclosed environment. I spilt it everywhere. And I don't know, I really just wanted to make black, but I actually don't have black paint, so I just made a really dark color, and it's just a layer, so that'll get like a few layers.
Very nice.
Trust the process.
Yeah, one step at a time.
I think the painting is like a very emotional authority thing to do, you know?
Yeah.
Have to clarity over time.
And I just thought this is an experiment. I'm just experimenting. I don't know if I've actually, like, you know, been doodling in the background on a call, so it's fun. I'm having fun.
Yeah.
It's helpful, I think, and this is definitely the 9 energy, because I can sit, and often when I'm having a call, and especially with you guys, and you know, our time is kind of precious. We don't all get to be in the same time, you know, it's on the same call. And so I usually lock in, but I get very, very tired after the call, or towards, like, as it goes on, I get very, very tired. And I know I'm manifesting generator, and I, like, you know, I'm super active, and I don't feel, if I didn't want to be on the calls, I wouldn't be on them. So I'm like, I feel like there's something else I should be doing at the same time that keeps me active, and I don't feel as tired. Which, so that's
Awesome. That's a great experiment.
You know.
Yeah. That's
Hey, you
another
gotta
thing.
let us know how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another thing about, like, human design. Like, it's an experiment, and there's so many different things you can experiment with. Like, you know, how I'm a projector, I have to take the step-by-step action, and that works for me. She's a manifesting generator, and they have this whole skip-stepping process, and they do lots of things at once, and it's yeah, so maybe that's right for her as a manifesting generator, to keep her energy flowing.
You know what else it just made me think of is how, like, okay, if we're talking about the 9 52, is it 52 or 53?
52.
Like whenever I have to do, like, really focused, detailed, like, logical work for, like, you know, when I've been a nerd in the past, like in school or something, and you know, had to, or like, let's say I have to file my taxes, or fill out a certification for the organic certification, like fill out a big ass long, or do it, sit down and, like, over a course of like a day or two, like, write a paper or do something like that. It's exhausting. It's totally fucking exhausting. Natalie, you're talking about, like, oh yeah, you know, it's like, so it's like definitely this level of, and there was, I was gonna ask, because probably knows, like, there's something you should eat when you're doing logical work, like protein or salt or fat or some shit. Like, there's, you know, it's like the logical circuit responds to something. What is it, like, food wise? Do you know what I'm talking?
It's protein.
I think so too.
Yeah. But also we need salt for the spleen, right?
Mm-hmm.
The spleen needs salt to kind of make those. Well, that's what we learned in the mentorship, like the snapping decisions, like the intuition works on like a salt pattern or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So salt's important too.
Yeah.
So this morning, I love Saturdays because I go down to a bakery in Camden, and there's an amazing French baker that's here in little old Camden, and they make the best bread, like tasty sourdough bread. It's perfectly made, absolutely the best bread I've ever had. They have all these, like, French pastries and Danishes, but this morning I got something different. I got like what did I get? I got like a bacon, corn, and salsa verde focaccia, and it was just like this fresh, airy, salty bacon, delicious, like that salsa verde, which is like all the green kind of oils, and I ate the whole thing, and I feel great.
Awesome.
It's definitely calm food. And it's refined, calm, salty, meaty food. And that'll do me. Like, that's good mood, good energy.
I want to ask you about your calm determination right now, because, you know, I have two little kids. One is nervous, one is calm. So the calm eating, it's the circumstance. It's not the conditions of the food. So like, I do think that there's, especially with the fourth, because it transfers all the colors. You could do any and all transference from the four. But so like, do you prefer and do you like to be alone when you eat? Is that ideal? Or
Yeah, I think it's sometimes it's familiarity is okay. Like it I think I do prefer to be alone.
okay, this, because it's not just about eating too. So like, and it's about taking. So what is calm really like for you? What does it mean for you to be calm?
It is undisturbed, so it doesn't have to be alone, but just don't disturb me, which
I don't want to interrupt you too much, but I do want to say this, because naturally, if you are calm determination, you are nervous and you need a calm environment. And my child that is calm, whatever, has so much energy all the time. It's like, and so to get him to be able to chill out, calm down, but he doesn't want to eat when he's on the run. Like if he is going to like have or whatever, it is like, so I get him to like take a time out by like having something to eat. And I don't feel guilty about that. Like, oh, you're just like using food. I don't, because it's like, he won't. Whereas my nervous child will be like eating on the go and fucking walking around and doing things. But like the calm one needs a calm environment and needs to control the environment and has the largest energy of all, like in a weird way. Do you experience that?
I'm actually pulling on like trying to think of the details of how I like things, and it will be lower, and it could be other things that are going on for me, but lower light, like mood lighting, or at cool conditions. So like if it's air conditioning or some coverage. Like I don't necessarily like being out in the middle of the sun, but sometimes I do like being outside. But it's just kind of got to be a bit cool and calm. that's the point of it. But like lower lighting, like not abrasive music or anything. I do like to listen to music when I eat, but it would be, that type of meditation or sound bowl stuff, if that's on, that helps soothe me. I eat a lot in my car. Because I guess it is like I'm not going to really get disturbed. I don't know if that's right or not, because sometimes I'm actually driving as well, but I still feel undisturbed, like in a private space.
Calm space, and it is a cave, and you're a mountains person, so weird thing there. But it's like there's so many variances. But yeah, I noticed the same thing about, so like the calm determination, like preferring to have like cool instead of hot, and prefer to have, like, it's interesting to see which one of the preferences, if you like go left or right, and it's just PHS is one of my favorite things to talk about, and to like anybody that's practicing it or knows about it, I'm always like, you guys want to talk about PHS? You guys, and I know, Donald,
I think it's interesting.
See, I have associated it with like where the food comes from. I know you just said it's not really like that, but I do think like because that's instinctive to me, that I liked, and that could also be the 1949 and the 50 for me. Like, but I do like to pick my food, and like it's this whole experience of obtaining the food is like, it feels nice, or I know it's come from a good place. So maybe that's not calm. Maybe that's to do with other things, but that's part of it.
It absolutely matters. And I think it totally matters a lot. And I think that somebody that has nervous would be much more tolerant of like a fast food product that had energetically gone through the ringer, and like had like my nervous child likes to watch YouTube videos of people mukbang eating ramen really fast. like so gross. And it's like, but like because remember 4 is feeling, it's vibration. So you will have like any of the upper trigram diets. I don't give a shit, even though it's not about, like they say you can eat whatever you want. It's about the conditions. It is also about the energy. Like they're just much more sensitive. Like the people that are direct light, they're so fucking, they have to know every fucking thing about the food. They have to like, they're so picky. They're the pickiest shits in the world that I've ever met. Like honestly, like they're so sensitive. They have so many food allergies and so I would not say that it's not true that the calm thing doesn't matter for the thing. They say on the like whatever that Ra has said, like I can eat whatever I want as long as I'm calm. You know, I can wolf down a fucking cigarette and be happy. You know, like whatever. But you know, like that. I agree with you that it does matter. You know.
That's interesting with the direct light. I had a friend that is direct light and instinctively would always have lunch when it was funny because I was trying to she would always want to have food and lunch as a meal as part of do I have paint on my face? Oh my god, I'm looking at the she would always have want to have meal or food as part of our meeting and part of our work, and I was like, oh, can we eat like beforehand and then work? Like I was really like, it's not, to me it's not cohesive. But what the point of my story is, like, she was also very protective about preparing the food. If she would have like she would want to have come to my house to do the work, she would still want to have the meal, but she would want to bring the food for us to eat. So it was like she would like she would want to know everything about it in preparing it and bringing it and making it. That I think that sounds right. Oh, cool. Did you see what happened? Great. See, there's some amazing organic drips happening behind me.
Oh, that looks awesome. That's awesome. I was wondering about the 4 because, you know, like the 4 can always transfer because it is like that balance. It's like, what do you think? Like the 4 is kind of like balancing out the movement.
I'm not sure exactly why the reasoning behind that is that they'd say that the 4 is capable of transferring to all the colors. I think it has something to do with its place in the hexagram and how it's like the first line of the transpersonal, you know, part, so that it basically can reach everybody, you know, on a certain level, and it's like that influential part of the 4. But I don't for 100% know why that is. It's a good question.
It could
Yeah,
have
I know.
some.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say it might have something to do with because the line, the transference of the 4 is fear, right? And trying to have everything and trying to gather everything. So maybe that's part of the why it grabs everything out of fear.
Yeah, you might be right about that. Yeah, I think I did hear something along those lines. Interesting. Yeah. Do you ever look at the lines, like as in with the angels, demons, ghosts, gods, aliens, and entities?
This has or what is it? I don't know a lot about this, but I'm curious about it. Does this have to do with your color of your personality?
Yeah. It's the rave cosmology. Yeah, it could be color. It is color, but it also, when you're looking at like triggers, you can also look at the profile. But yeah, it's the color. And it's, you know, how the message that the person got if they had an encounter. You know, you look at it in the transferred version and see how they could be perceiving it. incorrectly and what the message could have been. And also, given you should be taking an objective standpoint on it as well. And then, yeah, it's really interesting.
So, okay, if I'm a demon, if
I'm not a demon.
but if I have like I have hope as my thing, so that's right. That's how you check by that one, right?
Yeah. So
the transference is which one?
So that would transfer to the 5, which would be the entities. But the demons are probably the angels are like the worst ones. Yeah, I'll have to send you the lectures. But yeah, the angels are like I want to say they're like the guards, kind of, to make sure that everything kind of is in place. And the demons are the 2 is such a receptive kind of spiritual line. And
with those like angels, demons, ghosts, what is it? What's the other one? Entities, aliens. What am I missing?
Gods,
entities, aliens. It's like that they are just like the filters, right? So it's not like they are a thing outside of ourselves, but that's how we particularly are filtering that part of the program.
So yeah, so there's rogue crystal bundles. That's what they are. So there's there's only one design crystal, one prime design crystal and that's in the earth. And but outside of us, there's billions and billions of personality crystals. Like every blade of grass, every material thing has a personality crystal. So all of this is filtering consciousness. And there's no difference between our crystals and a blade of grass crystals. It's just our filtering. Our vehicles are different, so we can filter more or different information in different ways. And so we're filtering this information that comes from the star field, but then the frequency gets stepped down when around the crystal sheath around the earth and that's where the Godheads come in, and it gets stepped down to go through the Godheads and how it imprints us and conditions us. And then the rogue crystal bundles are they're bundles of like frequency that have came together due to the fact that we have not been that people have not been dying correctly, that they need to have their according to Ra, you need your 72 hours of not being touched so that you can have your bardo period and you can go back to your correct crystal bundle. And if you're not, a lot of people are not getting that and they're disturbing the body before 72 hours, you don't go back to your original crystal bundle. And that's what's causing these rogue crystal bundles. And there's more and more coming as time goes on because of this, not burying or not taking care of the dead correctly, not letting them live out that 72 hours before touching their body. And so what these 6 different things are, the gods, ghosts, all that stuff, it's really a frequency. And what the angels are the first one. So they're like the first basically consensus reality you could think of, that people, because the neutrino stream, we're still getting 7-centered information coming from it. So now it's like the first, I say consensus reality because it's like a frequency of what people put their energy into and worshipped, kind of. So before there was God, there was this frequency of the angel, and then it was the demon, and they kind of work in like binaries. And then the ghosts, which are like the ones that are kind of stuck. They didn't get to move on. They're stuck in between. And then the gods, And like, so it's all just like a frequency of what the people were believing in at the time. So then like 19th century came and like God was like the big thing. So gods, and then the entities and aliens are like the newest. The aliens are, I think he said like the 70s or something. Can't remember exactly.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that date with the entities, but they are, I mean the aliens, but the aliens are the newest of what we put the dead bodies not going back, what they're, I guess, within their consciousness about these outside forces, I guess.
It makes a lot of sense because we're like, people are out there being like, the aliens are coming, or we've got the aliens. It's like,
Yeah.
Time for the aliens.
Yeah.
So basically, like a lot of the people that have had like alien encounters like that, it could have been like a personality crystal rogue situation for them. Like maybe.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And even he said that a lot of people who are channelers are fives.
Because like the whole fifth, so this is making me like, oh my god, so if my transference is entities and like the law of one is from an entity, and so I'm like, oh my god, it's in transference.
Me and you are transferring each other.
That's what it concerned me slightly too, because I love the law of one, but I think I've reasoned that there may be things beyond that, you know, that aren't within this this assessment of this mechanical system. I don't know.
Right. So this is, Ra always says he was given form knowledge.
Right.
So form knowledge is not spirit knowledge. So, right. So what could be, because he talks about the creation and the creation of the ban and the two being cellular and the earth and everything from the earth, and all material. And so, yeah, but what about the beyond, because he does have a ring past knot, and he does explain in cosmology like his limitation there. So
yeah. And you know, speaking of Bantu, like Steve Rhodes material, which is like the big time Bantu, like he uses a lot in his stuff. He talks about transference as not being like, oh, you're fucked up and you're being your not self. It's like when you're in transference, it's like your second elective. It's like your second choice. It's like you will be either your first thing or transference most often. So his whole thing about transference is much more benign and like integrated as part of like how we will basically flip back and forth between the two.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad thing to be in transference, according to him. It's
Ross said that as well. Ross said we have to. He said we have to.
This is my Bantu painting.
Oh, wow.
I have I'm not saying it's good or that I know anything of what's going on. I have no idea. They're kind of like notes. They're sort of like notes.
Yeah.
But like sometimes when I do paintings, it just is like attached to something, and then I just leave it on the wall, and it's kind of like a pondering, like my own contemplation of some representation of something. But I mean, this come through and it was like, oh, that's I was just
my
the barn and the two.
I love that. Yeah, so I'm definitely thinking about, well, what is, is there more information that Ra didn't know, given this was just form knowledge? And he was given about how Jupiter runs the whole program through the 4 Galilean moons of Jupiter's moons, and it does the whole reincarnation process. And since that is breaking down, our reproductive capacity is breaking down, and it looks to us like, oh, we're having all these fertility issues and stuff, but it's really coming from the higher forces breaking down and micro to macrocosm. But like, what if there is some other galaxy or solar cell out there? Because he talks about all the planets and things kind of like a solar cell, like just inclusive of the planets and things that he uses, right? So what if there is something out there that, you know what I mean? So yeah, so I don't discount that there are other things out there besides that. But then it makes me question, because if there's only, if everything, because he says everything is technically a design crystal, but the personality, the prime personality crystal is basically an inverted design crystal. So
Sounds like a Merkaba to me,
yeah, right.
because you've got the bottom triangle and the top triangle that make the Merkaba, which
Mm-hmm.
is actually
Yeah.
which has
Yeah.
9 points, and then the love is in the middle where they've
Yeah.
joined. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's another thing that's Ra has. I don't remember exactly, but it was about the vessel of love, and that being like the I guess the vessel of love and the Sphinx are what, like two like plates or whatever that hold us like on an orbit though, right? Like on a side
Mm-hmm.
that keep us in this direction and place in space.
And
So I don't know. I don't know. You can't believe everything that someone was downloaded with, because they have their own filtering mechanisms as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I do resonate with most of it.
Yeah. What's interesting about Ra's download is that he was basically drained of all the water in his body, right? And
Yeah.
that's the important part, because water, if you study water at all, it holds memory. So it was almost like it had to be taken away to put this information into him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He fasted for weeks without knowing why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting stuff.
Yeah.
The taming power of the small.
Mm-hmm. Did you guys want to move on to the second line?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like, wherever you guys want to go with this, it's fine. We're just having fun. All right. So the second line is misery loves company. And I guess in Pluto, it's collaboration with others to temper frustration, the power to collaborate with others in focusing. In Jupiter, the overwhelming need for expansion that can lead to errors in judgment, missed opportunities, and depression. The drive to collaborate that will miss the focus. Yeah. And I guess a lot of frustrations in this, because this is a gate off of the sacral center. So it's a generated gate, which I've always contemplated that. So generated channels, they're all channels from response. You know what I mean? So something has to kind of initiate that response. So it's just interesting to think about it, right? And these are all mechanical channels, so they just kind of happen without you having to
Yeah.
do anything.
So if somebody had like the 952, say they had the 952 and they had the 59.6 as well,
Mhm.
they would have a logical, they would be having a response to something that fulfills their logical need and availability to do detailed work, as well as whether it's building,
Detailed
the
reproduction.
logical. Yeah. Yes. Greatly synthesized. Thank you. Thank you, 24.
Now I have the 59.6, and it's definitely here to reproduce, like make more. It doesn't necessarily have to do with making more people. It could be making more anything, really. Like, because yeah, I was an assembler for a few years, and I was just happy making more things. You know what I mean? Like, just putting them out. It was satisfying. You know.
Yeah. Nice.
Too bad it doesn't pay very well, because I'm sure a lot of people with the 59.6 would just love doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right. And then we go to line 3, which is the day we're on right now, the straw that breaks the camel's back. And the Earth, uh, the use of force to temporarily overcome impediments, the loss of power through failure to focus, or in the sun, which is like a core essence, the persistent force that saps vitality and turns molehills into mountains, the power to turn a focus into an obsession.
Mm.
This is the overlooked minor element that always predetermines failure. Yeah. So this is how we experience it in a material way, because the third line's all about the material way.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those kind of provoking lines for me personally. Like that because I have the 9.3. Yeah. And so when that particular line, like you overlook minor element that always predetermines failure, I'm like, oh god. Hang on, wait a second. How can I process this? How can I look at this? How can I like yeah, so there's a multitude of ways that I that come to this one.
Isn't this Neptune for you also, Natalie?
Is it it's the Neptune? Yeah, I think so.
It's so overlooking it even more like possible.
Yeah, right? That's that's a rough one.
I don't even know how to talk about it because yeah, it's I mean yeah, it's also like I mean you do learn from failure, so like if you're always failing.
Here, do you want to hear? Do you want to hear what
that-
I thought about it is? It's like, so there's these things in astrology that are like this too, where it's like you get the news that you have this aspect that's like, yeah, your sun and moon are in aversion to each other, and yeah, it's like, what? It's like they can't see each other, so like there's these basic parts of myself will never be able to get on the same page. It's like, oh god, and it's like, then it's like, yeah, okay, but now I have awareness of it from this greater outside perspective. It's like, and so it's like totally changed. It's completely different. And it's also, you realize that there are workarounds that involve other people. Sometimes you might need to actually like involve some oversight if you realize that one of your Achilles heels, one of your fatal flaws is this tendency to overlook minor elements. Like get a fucking proofreader before you publish your book. Situation so that your fucking first name is not misspelled when you go to print, something like that, you know. And it's like it doesn't have to be like the end of the world. It could just be like I get it though about like sometimes there's these lines when you're like I can't swallow this. It's like I have terminal disease as my Saturn on the design side 18.2. I'm like what? Terminal disease. So yeah,
I guess it's also like it just is like accepting that failure doesn't mean that something doesn't happen or isn't done or you don't take action or it's not also successful.
It's
like
not
you know
permanent.
if my book goes to print and my name is misspelled, it's kind of like, oh well.
Yeah,
that's like,
up. I think we could,
what?
I think we could have a synonymous, a thesaurus on hand with a failure to exchange fuck up or mistake or like, you know, a redo. It's like, you know, a situation of like, it's okay. And then so it's, and remember, yeah, this is a
third line process.
Yeah, exactly. This is the third line thing, which, and it's the logical one. And so like, do you know how, oh God, you know, I'm not a math genius. Like I failed algebra 2 3 times. I aced geometry, but like I'm not whatever. And it's like you fuck up one little number and that's it. You overlook one stupid remainder. You know, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. You missed out multiplication tables or whatever. You're lost forever. It's like, you know, there are so many small details in the logical collective processes that it's if you want to go to space, you better you know, that's what I think about straw that breaks the camel's back. It's like if I'm trying to calculate a rocket ship, which I would never do, or a submarine or something like this, like
me neither. Don't put me on that.
a 6'2" would never do that.
Yeah. But you
and
also
I guess it is like,
right.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say like it. Some things are. It's actually better when they fail. You know what I mean? Like, most of the discoveries in humanity has been because of some sort of failure. Like, even if you just look at something as simple as cheese, if people didn't leave milk out, or like, you know, right, or whipping cream, like if they didn't whip the milk, like we would have never had whipping cream, right?
Yeah.
So
Also, it's really
this is
experimentation. Like,
Mhm.
even, is the human design system have a flaw in it? You know what I mean? Like, have you
No, I
found
think
any yet?
this is like divine perfection to me. Like
Yeah.
that's how I
Well,
see
like
this stuff, as like it's perfect the way it is. You just
I
have
was
to see
gonna say, it's
yourself
like
as
when
perfect the way you are.
Yeah.
the line 3 is built for it. So like you are built with that hardiness to
Mhm.
take the break, to show other people like where don't go near that
Yeah, like
that
this
break.
doesn't work. That's how you can make
Yeah.
money, right, Nat? Like
Mhm.
with that gate, with the being in the third line, that's a money gate, right?
Mhm.
One of the few. It's not. I don't have many line 3s either. That's one of the.
I don't either.
I just have a few, but that's one of them.
I wish I had a line 3.
Aw.
No, I
Just get
don't.
us to test it for you. Just throw us out.
Yeah.
I'll lay over the puddle.
Yeah, not having a line 3 means I can see that people are going to fail before it happens, and it's really hard to it's been hard. It's
Oh,
yeah.
bless.
But I got like but
Well,
now I'm
that's the
learning
thing,
to
though.
let people
We're
go
built
through it,
for
right?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to go through it anyway, right? Because if you don't, then you're not gonna.
Mhm.
If you don't try it and get out of the inertia, even if you fail, you can keep that you can keep the determination going by
Yeah.
keep trying again. But you got to start somewhere.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All
Cool.
right. You guys want to get into the line 4 now?
Yeah.
All right. So the line 4 is dedication. So regardless of the pressures or stress, the disciplined attention to detail. So for the moon, or a driving force energy, right action that leads to an inevitability and actualization. The power to act on the potential of the focus. Or I guess we've got a Mars energy, which is a more immature energy. The persistent urge to want to skip essential steps. The drive for action that ignores the details. This one's kind of interesting too.
Yeah. I like the Mars, the immature energy that kind of gets more mature and refined as it grows up.
Yeah. And, whenever I see immature energy, I'm like, this is the fun energy, right? So it's like somebody tells you, well, this is how you paint the painting. Here are all the steps that you take. And then you're like, no, I'm going to paint the painting my way. And you,
Yeah,
and you
like
just
with
grab the
no
brush from them
concept,
and you knock
no
them out of the
plan.
way and you do it.
With no concept and no plan and
Mhm.
just pure
Yeah.
expression.
Yeah. It's like hold my beer energy.
Oh my god, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love the Mars energy because there's always this playfulness to it.
Mm-hmm. You want to do 5?
Sure.
We're moving on. We're moving fast now.
Oh, sorry. Did you want me to do 5 or did you ask to do 5?
Yeah. No, you could do it.
Okay. So the line 5 is faith. And I guess when you're in a line 5, it's projected energy, just to let people know. So the trust that detailed adherence will lead to fulfillment. And in Jupiter, loyalty to the letter of the law, the power to focus and bring value to concentration. So there's an interesting word, value to concentration, right? So it's a projection, it's a projected value.
Mhm.
Or in the earth, or the grounding energy of this, like the mystery of God, doubt engendered through the perceived illogic of a process where the lack of power to concentrate leads to doubt.
Hmm.
Interesting.
So you see Jupiter.
Yeah, you got Jupiter and Earth.
Right. Oh, okay. Wait. So we have Jupiter is in exaltation, and Earth is in detriment here.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
So the
Jupiter.
grounded energy is the lack of power to concentrate that leads to doubt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting. Hmm. Yeah, I feel like as we've gotten into this upper part of the hexagram or whatever, it's gotten a lot better. Like, we have dedication, faith, and then 6 is going to be gratitude. And so it's like I feel like there's like a lot of the collective. This is the format energy of the logical process. It's like a steep climb, but it's like very lofty up at the higher. You know what I mean? Like there's this feeling of like I don't know, but yeah, it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is
I
the
feel
Yeah.
top
like,
of.
yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry.
No,
I'm
go
just
ahead.
like, I'm staring at the words. I'm like, I just feel like I really relate, even though I've just got the other, the 3 and the 4, but I do really relate to all of this, and like and maybe we're speaking to the 4 having those aspects of all the lines, because that faith and gratitude is so core. And I'm interested in the process of doing a painting, and like this study, my own self study in this process of talking about all the lines is I'm finding interesting, because I know from practice over years and time that although it might look like an incoherent mess, that I know that like all of the paintings that I do amount to something that I'm interested in, and they all stay as part of my collection in pieces. I think about them, they have something of value, and they're fulfilling in that detail. Like it's actually very clear in the description that I can relate very clearly to feeling fulfilled and feeling value from details, even going through all of those line processes of the the Mars immaturity and skipping steps and not having a plan, and all of that, like going through all of that, I still come to that position of I have faith that my process produces something fulfilling. Yeah,
Awesome.
that's cool.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
The next one's my design sun.
Oh, okay. And it's an interesting one because when you get to the line 6, it's not really part of the hexagram. It is, but it's looking at the next one, right? So
Mm-hmm.
this is like the transcended the transcendence. It's like, okay, I'm done with all of this, I'm standing on the roof or whatever. I'm not even part of the house, and I'm looking at the next gate now.
Yep.
And I have we can go look at what the next gate is, which will be the next theme. But
I think it's the 5.
yeah. Oh, okay. I know. Yeah, that's a good one too. So the joy, the joy which comes with accepting small rewards for small victories. So as you can see, like we've moved from like details of things to accepting of small rewards and victories, right?
Mm.
So the moon, which is a driving force, is the moon exalted, where the power of the small nourishes right perspective, the power to enjoy the concentrating process. So that
Mm-hmm.
like this is where it becomes a joy to just concentrate.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have Pluto. Yeah, Pluto again. No single step is of value until the journey is over. The energy of expression that cannot find joy in the process until it is complete.
Yeah, I can resonate in the past to that Pluto energy, and now it's about, I see the momentum that builds from um, feeling the gratitude in your body and just cultivating that feeling of gratitude, and every small victory or every small step that you take a minute to celebrate that for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And then, like, the Pluto really defines the determination here, too, right? Like, you got to finish. It's like there's a real need to finish the process, right? Or
Yeah.
else there's no joy. So if I don't finish, there's no joy in the work I've done. So that's like the real driving determination behind there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this one's looking at waiting. The gate of waiting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is not about waiting at all, if you read it. It's pretty funny. Waiting is an active state. That's what I've learned about it.
Yeah.
So does that mean we're going into the 5, the sun?
Yes,
Next?
it does.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
5 and
I'm
35.
keen to talk about that too, because I've got the 15. So we'll be.
And I have the 5 in my Mercury, and I have the 15 in my Chiron.
Interesting.
Do you want me to share Karen Curry Parker's terminology for this gate?
Sure.
Sure.
Alrighty.
So I stopped sharing. Do you have a share button on your screen?
Oh, I just have the book. I'm just gonna read
okay.
it. Okay. So it's called convergence in quantum human design. The challenge is the energy is about learning where to place your focus. When we work with the energy of this gate, we have to learn to see the trees and the forest. It sounds like what you're doing, Nat. This gate can make us seem blind to the big picture, and we can lose our focus by getting stuck and going down the rabbit hole. I definitely relate to that. So she asks some questions. Where am I putting my energy and attention? Is it creating the growth that I am seeking? What do I need to focus on? Is my physical environment supporting my staying focused? Do I have a practice that supports me sustaining my focus? What can I do to increase my focus? And the affirmation she puts is, I place my focus and attention on the details that support my creative manifestation. I am clear. I easily see the parts of the whole, and I know exactly what to focus on to support my evolution and the evolution of the world. And then she puts that the earth is in the 16, and she calls that gate the gate of zest. And to ground, it says, where have you sidelined your enthusiasms because others have told you that you can't do what you dream of doing? I always like to go into her stuff too, just to get another layer of frequency to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like you can really hear the kind of like feminine energy coming out in what she's talking about, because it's more than just the gate. It's like talking about how do you feel about this and how do you feel about that, about the gate. So it's not just where Ra's approach was more mechanical. He's like, I'm a mechanic. This is how your energy works. I'm going to tune your car up, you know? That's probably, yeah. So, you know, that's why we're going to have variations of the HD system going through different lenses.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you even have Richard Rudd, and he's more like contemplative, like, let's meditate on what this gate means to us and add some more playful language to it, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
So it's good. Many doors into the path, which is great. Because, you know, people are all at different levels and they need to hear it at different places. So.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Okay, so I have a question that maybe we could contemplate as we're like closing up here, because this is something that I made a video about. I don't think I published this though. I made a lot of videos that I did. It was based on the Richard Rudd thing about the mountain, where he's like, you know, you see the mountain, your mind sees the mountain, don't look at the mountain, just look at your feet and take the first step. So like each of us has like a specific mountain that we know of that comes to mind, that is like we've been in inertia about, like, you know, like we just can't take that heavy ass first fucking probably like legions of mountains, right? Like so like a mountain range of mountains that we all have before us. But like maybe there's one that like is springing to mind as I said that. Maybe there was one that you're like, I know what she's talking about. So like if you were to like contemplate at yourself, just like seeing that mountain in your mind, but not looking at that mountain, just looking down at your feet and like saying like, what is the next step? Like maybe that could be like your meditation, because that's what I've been thinking about for myself. And like for me, I know what the mountain is. It's like, you know, it has to do with like how I am in my everyday life with my children, and being like a much more like successful version of like like a guide to them as like the projector mother, and like just like all my mountainous like ambitious goals with like my homeschooling and all kinds of bullshit that have to do with like my very basic personal life. But it is also sometimes where I'm like certain things that I want to do, like ways that I want to be like my most like mountainous like best self, that require like a lot of change or a lot of whatever. It's going to be like a, you know, it's a process, it's a journey. It's like a, everybody here is a process authority. You guys are all emotional and I'm a mental projector. So it's like, you know, it's like those one fucking, like those 1,000-step journeys. It's like almost like, I know why the inertia exists. I'm like very, every time I hear a shadow, I'm like, I know all about this. I'm always like, yeah, I got that shadow. I know about that shadow. You know, it's like I can totally relate to it. But like the other one, the determination, it's like, oh, determination. It's like, is that really a gift? It's like being all determined. It's like, oh, I hate when people are all determined sometimes. You know what I mean? But it's like only when you're like forcing something that like other people don't want. But it's like that's like the determination thing is like the right step. It's like that moment of like that meditation where you're looking down at your feet and you're taking that first step. It's like there's a lot of power in that. There's a lot of courage in that. There's a lot of the invincibility, the God moment that comes out of it. There's a lot of grace in that. It's like, you know, that like walking on water first step. It's like, whoa, shit, miraculous. Like I'm actually doing this. I'm doing it. Like, so.
It's funny you mentioned the walking on water, because the first time, well, it's in the Bible, like when Jesus' disciple walks on water and then he realizes he's doing it, he automatically falls in the water, like, because it's like, because he's looking at the mountain, right?
Right. And then the mind gets involved,
Yeah,
right?
the mind gets involved. You can't walk on water.
Right.
Yeah.
Versus faith life, which is just completely, you know, insane.
Yeah.
I think like my mountain, one of my or the thing that came to mind is playing shows. I've been talking about it for a while because like I used to play shows all the time. It was just so natural, and I've wanted for ages, but I'm on the roof, and so some people have said like you won't get there, you won't get to a stage even if you want to. But I really want to, and I have like this new guitar, and I work through, like I have a set of songs that are original songs and some covers that I really like. They all go into it. It's literally, this is the straw that broke the camel's back, because I go through the set and the songs are like 95% done, and then there's a line, like some one word in a song, and I'm like not sure what that lyric is, and I'm like, okay, I'm done, and I get up and I put the guitar down and I walk off, and I'm like, that's it for today, because I'm come undone from like one word that I'm not sure what the word is. But yeah, that's I can see myself also like getting onto a stage, and I know I've found a place that I want to go play. It's very low key, it's very low pressure. It's called Soulside Cafe, and it's up in the mountains. But what is the point when I think about like actually getting to the performance moment? Like, would I fall through the water, like walk on water, fall through it, because I would get nervous or something about being there? And then I think about connecting to my instrument as like in a meditative way, like to be like, well, that'll be my buddy, and that's my familiar in a way, and who like I will be with my friend, and I will just focus on like the breath and my voice and here, and I'll just close everything off and I won't even engage. So then I will just, I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's what I'm working on.
Yeah,
So-
that would be great. And then you just practice that and you get through it and then you're golden.
So that's what I will be working on. And the painting stuff, this is my sacral filler. It's not there's no like there's nothing on it. Like it's just pure fun tank filling focus.
Nice.
Have you ever considered playing from the roof? Like everybody every sixth line I've ever met who's on the roof, they're like, well, I'm on the roof, so I'm not engaged. But what if you're in, like, the roof is like this reflective state, right? So maybe you could write your music in a more reflective state and it doesn't have to go anywhere, and it can just be for yourself. And then when you're 50, you jump off that roof and you play your songs.
It's very much for myself, yeah.
Yeah. So just play for yourself and hit record and share it or don't share it. Or just play for yourself.
Yeah, and I totally agree with everything you just said. But also, Rod does say that the 6-2, that their rooftop period is when they can make the most money. And so, like, you're a creative. So, like, see if you get called out, like, by any to do any shows, or you know what I'm saying? Like, if you, like, just because you're on the roof doesn't mean you have to be on house arrest, even though I have been on house arrest for a majority of my rooftop experience. But, like, it doesn't have to go that way. And, like, you definitely can, like, love what Donald said about, like, play from your rooftop, like let that inspire you, like your aloofness. But also, like, the sixth line, people do like when we fucking come down for a minute. It's like, it's very like, especially the 6-2, like you got to respond to the right call. Like if this place is calling you, because you don't need an invitation, but like you do need a response, like, and it'll happen for sure. It'll totally happen. Just get ready.
Yeah, that's it. Just get ready. That's not that's what it is. I'm gonna play guitar after this. I'm gonna go through my set.
Nice.
And also, like, the roof is a very, like, I know seduction is a line 5 thing, but when you're on the roof, it's very, like, people want to get there. They want to touch that, role model, right? It's just like you see in a concert, everybody's reaching for the guy with the mic, They want him to jump into the crowd to do the crowd surfing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm like, because I'm trying to find this house or this place to live in the mountains. And I'm like, I think I should go play shows and then just tell the crowd that I need a house and get someone to like just let me be like, oh yeah, I really like her. She can move in. That's my, like, I have agendas. Because people have to see me to get it. People have to find, like, they have to see me and observe it and be like, okay, her. Because I'm unexplainable unless people feel it and see it. They've got no idea I'm here.
Exactly.
We
all are, right?
11 right now. 11. 111.
I got 9/11 here, which is good.
Me too.
Oh, Marissa, are you in the same time zone as me then?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think Rachel is too. You're 9/11? Okay.
Yep, I am. So you're 1 a.m. in the morning, Natalie?
1 p.m.
Oh, afternoon. Okay, cool.
Saturday afternoon, yeah.
But one day ahead of us, so she's already in that dedication energy.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Natalie, you should be telling us what to expect the next day.
That's what I was curious, because when I checked the neutrino app, it is still 9.3 right now. So it says we go into 9.4 on the 1st of December. So yeah, that's when I checked the transit here. So I didn't know whether it's tailored for my hemisphere or not. I can't remember.
Yeah, it will be. It'll adjust based on your time zone. So it's the same for everybody. We're all experiencing the same neutrino influence. It's just our local time or whatever it is that our time zone is. It varies based on our location. So it's like a unifier. It's like, even though we're all in these different times and dates or places, it's like we're all experiencing consciously the 9-3. It's interesting in that way.
Yeah, that is really cool. That's really cool.
Awesome.
It's like the neutrino is more real than time.
Mhm.
I mean, the neutrinos are one in the neutrino field is actually what creates time. It's just that, different people of it. It's one of those like ninth gate things. It's like one little mistake, you could fuck up, and like then you have two different systems. As far as like understandings of like calculations and stuff. No, we're not going to get into like debates, but that is sometimes like how.
I actually had I commented on somebody's post this morning because there has been I've been seeing a lot of people saying there should be no cosmic human design, and then some other people are saying, so there's one girl, she was talking about how tropical, like Ra was correct in the way that he was doing it, and I was kind of trying to articulate and like back her up with like the Crave cosmology piece, and like the bond and the two being the cellular, and like, so that's it doesn't move in that sense, the bottom part of the wheel, but the top does. So like essentially I guess you could use whatever you wanted it for your personality side, but because we're all conditioned anyway. But I do think that Ra did do it according to the I Ching, and you know what I mean. I don't know. What do you think, Rachel? You're all into astrology. What do you think about that whole subject?
As far as like sidereal versus I haven't looked into it too much, because the great majority is like sidereal is like a fringe thing, and then most of the people that I know have been like, no, it's not sidereal. So I think that it's like I don't have a strong opinion on it one way or the other, and it's also like a technical detail that I don't give a shit about. So I'm just gonna go with like the normal. It's not like I haven't looked into it, so it's like whatever. And do I believe in sidereal astrology and Vedic astrology and whatever? Totally, it's totally different. I tried to study it a little bit, but like was at a time where I could not like wrap my head around it. I was going through a lot of shit, and it's totally whatever. It's like a different language, though. It really is. It's very interesting. So it's like, so having said that, like you have to be careful just as a layman to just like easily say like, oh, you can easily mesh the systems, because it's like, well, not necessarily. It's like you can't just use, I'm going to use this for this and this for this. Like, well, it's like you really choose, are you going to fly a plane, or are you going to take a train? Because you can't like fucking like, do both at the same time. It's like different situation, whatever. You could get to the same destination maybe using, you know what I mean? But it's going to be a little bit different. So
Absolutely. Agreed.
Yeah, I did my sidereal human design chart once, and I became a projector. So I thought that was kind of funny.
That's what happened when we like accidentally had the genetic matrix on sidereal, and we both looked at our charts and went, well, that's kind of right. That's not right.
There was a non-emotional Natalie, right? That was.
Oh yeah, like what the fuck.
I want to see what Rachel's is, because Rachel is definitely like the definition of a mental projector, and if she turns out like You know what I mean? Like a generator or something in sidereal.
Well, you know what's funny? If Chiron counts, I'm a generator.
Same.
But I don't think it does necessarily count. And also, like in the, you know, the whole thing with Dr. Eleanor or whatever, where you look at all the different charts, no matter what, I never have a defined solar plexus in all the Eleanor charts where it's like you use all the different calculations. I never have a defined solar plexus, no matter what.
I guess you're really learning about emotions in this lifetime.
I guess so. Yeah.
But a fun challenge that I like to do is use other types of authorities sometimes and strategies. So, for example, like who's inviting me to things? Because you got to realize that some of your channels are projected channels and some of them are generated, right? So
100%.
if you're trying to generate a projected channel and you're a generator, like I feel like I'm just playing with this right now. I don't know. It's not in the system.
Yeah.
Oh, I've met generators like to think that they're projectors and that they need to wait for the invitation. I have met so many generators that are like, "Oh yeah, I got invited." They talk to me all the time about their invitations. I'm like, "Bitch, you don't have to wait for an invitation." I'm like, "You could just do whatever the fuck you want." I'm like, "You could just go out. You could just respond and shit. You could just go." You know, like, no, but it's funny. But yeah, I do think you're right, especially Donald, that your most channels are projected. So the chances that somebody's got a projected channel, at least one, and then like your double projector profile. So like I do think it's a good strategy. It's kind of like double assurance. It's like if you're
Plus open throat.
mm-hmm. So, but if you're waiting to for the invitation, it is a form of response, especially with emotional authority. It's like a long, drawn out, this or that, back and forth thing. So, invitations for sure, I think, apply to people that aren't projectors. But don't get stuck in that trap,
No.
Donald. You can still respond innocently, especially just like, you know, willy nilly, like, you know, if it's a true response as an innocent person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like when you're an emotional generator, you really have to look at your emotions above your response. I could respond to something and go and buy it, and the next day I'm upset that I wasted my money. Like,
But do you think that is part of the way?
I can't really trust my sacral. I really can't trust it.
Wait a minute.
No, not if you're emotional. Because the sacral isn't in the moment thing. So of course in the now, but then yeah, you still have to wait on it, right?
However, even buying something that you regret and have buyer's remorse about, is that not possibly part of the wave experience that you need for the whole deal? Like, I mean, it's like if you have a and an emotional. I talk to my best friend about this a lot because she's the person I know most intimately that I like. I'm always like trying to like pummel with human design, like, you know, as like a as a guinea pig. It's like how she uses both, you know. And it's like, I don't know, not all purchases are emotional. Some are sacral, right? And then, but those ones that are like, I don't know, but not all decisions are emotional. Like there are sacral decisions, there are emotional. As somebody that doesn't have any of the shit, I can see how, and like splenic decisions are very interesting. Like those decisions are the most interesting. You know, and do you guys have spleens? Anybody here?
I do, but Joey was a splenic manifester, and yeah, those decisions
Quick, yeah,
scary.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. But like what I mean by like, so I could respond to something, right? So as a generator, things are kind of drawn to you. So yeah, I know like my type is a generator. Things get drawn to me and then I respond to them. Now, what I respond to it today might be different than tomorrow and the next day, like how I feel about that. If it keeps coming to me and over time it's still in my kind of, I'm still drawing it to me, it's probably meant for me. Like if I gain, if the clarity comes, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's kind of like this. It's like they're playing off of each other for me, anyways.
And what is your cognition?
I'm not sure.
Touch?
Offhand.
Is it touch?
He's inner vision.
Yeah, inner vision. Sorry, yeah.
Inner vision. Okay. Because, all right, so I don't know what you guys think about this, but I've talked about it with some other people before. Like for people who have channels, you know, because this is the form principle, right? It says raw. So if they have a channel and they're a generator and it's their personality, or if it's half personality, half design, how is that their body without the mind getting in the way? So that's why I've heard people, and I also suggest people to use their their senses, like their sense, like your cognition and stuff, like along with it. What do you think about that? Because Donald, your channel is like half and half, right?
All my channels are half conscious,
Okay.
half
So
unconscious.
do you feel the response, or do you like having it half being personality and not all?
I feel the
Unconscious?
response, but it can like it comes and goes. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
That's why I'm always like just everything. This is what I always tell other emotional beings: is everything is a no until it's a yes. And if you can if you can garner that much patience and love for yourself and do that, because a lot of people they succumb to the pressures from other people, and they end up by getting themselves into situations that they never wanted to be in the first place, and that it feels bad. So I'll just say that.
I think that
Definitely.
it's a no until it's a yes is a very two thing. It's a no until it's a yes.
And then you have inner vision, right? So that's the ajna binary. And so like I've heard it described in two different ways. I've heard it that it's like sort of an ajna solar plexus combination type thing. And then I've just heard like you just kind of close your eyes, and then if there's somebody around you asking you something, close your eyes and you can kind of get the frequency for what it is.
Yeah.
The latter, not the first part.
I don't know. Like 2 is very like well, it's like also the bigot, right? I think that's where Rachel was going with that one. Like everything's a no until it's a yes. But it's also a good thing for if you're an emotional person that if you're not clear on something, don't jump into it.
So I'm thinking a lot about my recent experience with taking this job, because there's multifacets, but I, as an emotional manifesting generator, I would want to take my time to accept the role. It didn't happen like that at all. It was very quick. She called me one day. I got a jolt of energy, immediately got excited, put things into place. I was there for an interview the next day, and straight away during the interview, she said, "We really like you. When can you start? Can you stay today?" And I was thinking, whoa, okay. And we went bang in. I worked that entire day, did a shift. Then they were like, well, we'll just fold you into the roster and here we go. And part of me was like, this feels right. And the reason for that is that I'd actually applied 3 months ago and had envisioned, and the application, like it felt attractive to me when I put an application in. I was responding to their ad and it felt aligned. So it was kind of like, even though it was quick, it did feel like there had been some setting in, like without even having talked to them throughout that whole time. But in saying that, like, just because the entry point was like least resistance and it it was right. It doesn't mean that it's all clean because then you go and now I'm in a roster, and this roster rolls me into like expectations of days that I'm working for them, and I'm already getting like things where I'm working now and I can't go do this thing or take this opportunity, that things are already coming up on those days. So I'm already like, this is not going to be a long-lived experience. This is going to be a short, good time. I'm going to make the best of it. And I'm already like looking for the out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this, maybe I've just signed up for Christmas and I'm already, this is beside the fact that the aromas of, it's actually not a very healthy environment. I'm not supposed to, I actually wrote a contract that says I won't talk about it. But they're paraffin dyed candles with fragrances. That shit is not great to like inhale in small spaces. And I can feel it, and I'm taste cognition, and my taste is like candles, too many candles.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, with that being said, that's my story of like that emotional kind of in and out, but it doesn't mean that just because I went in, I think I went in correctly, but that emotionality is still like, as it plays, I probably will.
Yeah, well, only time will tell, right? If you
yeah.
You sound like you're becoming frustrated with it.
Yeah.
I know. So that's like,
It was pretty
so
quick.
I also go by those signposts. Like when I know I've entered in something that I shouldn't be in, because I start getting a little bit disgruntled. I actually don't want to put my energy to it.
Mm.
And yeah, I try to find an out.
Mm.
Do you have the 10.2?
No.
I do. That sounds like it.
Oh, okay.
The 6.
Well, I've got a 10.1. I'm the line 110. Mm.
All right. Did you guys want to end the recording?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think we went on for long enough. So
Yeah,
anybody who's
we're at 2.5 hours about.
Oh wow, that's a lot. Yeah, well, if anybody has actually stuck with us this whole time, thank you.
Congratulations.
And we love you. Yeah, if you wanna communicate or connect, just leave a comment or something. And yeah, we're always looking to enlighten new people, and hopefully, I don't know what I'm saying. So
well, we talked about this before.
Yeah.
Like in the event that anybody does get to this final part, we all have services that we're working on and different people that we want to work with, and we're working out how to speak to that specifically. For me, it's kind of creatives, and it can be musicians or artists, or but even people in healing and spiritual healing, that just have that creative spark. But that's who I help with, and we've talked specifically about the 9 as well today, like how to step through a process, and how to embrace that individual energy of like creating in order to like just express. So that's kind of like my pocket at the moment, of if that speaks to people. Contact me at naturalflowalchemy.com.
Awesome.
Come to my website.
Yeah, and if I'm actually doing my website right now. I'm actually started doing it when we moved into the 9. Remember,
Awesome.
Natalie, we talked about I wanted to have that done by the end of the year. I was like, I don't even need a website. But then Vicky told me like that I could actually make a free one on Wix. So I was like, oh, okay. So I started doing it the other day, and I was very focused into it. So that's coming. But yeah, you can just, if you want to connect with me, you can just honestly just comment me or DM me, Marissa Mull, on Facebook. I'm very not traditional. So yeah, just contact me and we can talk. And I'll leave my Healed Me link below.
Rachel, did you want to plug anything?
Sorry, I'm eating some Thanksgiving leftovers. Not really plug, but if anybody wants to contact me, I do have a website. It's iheartastrology.net, and I also have a YouTube channel. It's iHeart Astrology with some numbers 7877. Somebody else set up for me a while back, and yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And
What about you?
Sorry.
Yeah, Donald.
What about you?
Oh, I'm working on something. It's still cooking. It's probably going to be for people that are kind of lost in life. They feel trapped in their maybe personal situations. And I'm going to be using human design to help people navigate the waters there, find direction in their own life and purpose, and set up healthy boundaries with the people around them, and basically transcend their own limitations. But I'm not sure how that's all going to come together, but that's why it's still
That
cooking.
sounds perfect.
Yeah.
That is perfect. It's great because it's like very similar to what I was doing. And I'm glad that you came to the realization about like teaching people how to love themselves is,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really like our experience. Like, what did we learn up until this point? What is our experience and what is our skills and what is our design?
Mm-hmm.
And there you go. So yeah, my realm is healing and taking people to be able to find yourself again and to have joy in life and confidence in yourself, and yeah, just get that spark back again too, because I know a lot of people are stuck and they also feel it's a weird time we're in right now, with the elections, and we're moving towards 2027 with the shift, and people are already feeling not stable in their minds. And what this system does is it takes you out of your mind, so that you're unshakable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's part. Yeah, that's the part of the thing that I find so great and has been so helpful, is like just taking the decision making out of the mind, and figuring out what clarity feels like in the body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, listening to your body. Your body always has messages for you. And like human design is so much more than what you see on the surface. Like there is the deeper aspects have to do with your body and the physiology of it. And it all has a correlated body part and amino acid. And it really can be a great map for not just your psychology, but also what's going on with your physiology. And yeah, as you see today with the focus, I really like to get to a pinpoint of something. So if you have something that you need guidance or support with, that I can help pinpoint something in your chart and guide you through it. And yeah, obviously I just don't do just pinpoint readings, but it's a great place to start if you have something you want to pinpoint with.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So thank you.
Good job, guys. I
Thanks,
really
everyone.
enjoyed the chat. Thank you for
This is so fun.
letting me paint.
It looks awesome.
All right. Bye, everyone.
It'll just be like I'll show it to you when it's like done. It'll take a while. Like I'll let that dry. It'll probably like a few days, and then I'll do more.
Nice. I can't wait to see it.
That's the hardest part, is actually stopping and letting a layer dry before I keep going, because I just want to keep going.
That determination. All right, guys.
All right.